Have you ever woken up, looked at your reflection and whispered, "Whose life is this?" Not in a poetic way, but in a gut-wrenching, heart-dropping, soul-breaking way. You stare at the ceiling and realize every step you've taken, every choice you made, every yes you forced through clenched teeth wasn't even yours. You didn't live. You performed. You shaped yourself into who they wanted. Your parents, your teachers, your culture, your religion, your Instagram followers. You made your entire identity a mirror, reflecting what they expected, while burying who you truly are. And the worst part? You thought this was normal. You thought this was success. But deep inside, under all the noise, distractions, and societal pressure, there's been a quiet whisper, a voice, faint, forgotten, yours. It told you the truth. That the suits you wear, the smiles you fake, the dreams you chase, they don't belong to you. You were just surviving, not living. Until one day, something inside you snaps, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a still moment, when you can't pretend anymore. That's when your eyes truly open, not to the world, but to yourself. You realize you've committed the most tragic betrayal a human can make. You abandoned yourself to be loved by others. And now? Now comes the scariest and most powerful decision of your life, to choose yourself. Carl Jung once said, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, because choosing yourself means destroying the fake version of you that everyone loved. It means walking alone. It means facing your shadow. It means becoming real." And this video, this is your mirror. This is your turning point. We're not here to sell dreams. We're here to wake you up to the raw, terrifying but beautiful process of transformation, because the moment you stop betraying yourself is the moment your real life begins. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The moment everything changes. There is no warning, no alarm clock, no flashing sign telling you, "Hey, this is it," but it comes, quietly, suddenly, like a storm building in silence. It's that moment when you look into the mirror and the reflection stares back like a stranger. Your eyes are tired, not from lack of sleep, but from carrying a life that was never really yours. You realize you've been saying yes to everything. Yes, I'll do it. Yes, I'll stay. Yes, I understand. But deep down, every yes was a betrayal. You said yes when your soul screamed no. You buried your own desires just to meet someone else's expectations, and you called it loyalty. You called it love. You thought you were being good, being kind, being selfless. But here's the truth that burns the hardest. You were slowly abandoning yourself. You killed your own dreams in order to validate theirs. You silenced your own voice so they wouldn't feel uncomfortable. You played a role in a story you didn't even write. And then one day, something cracks. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, but you feel it, like a tear inside your chest, a fracture in your spirit. It's your soul whispering, "What if, as for once, I chose me?" At first it sounds wrong, selfish, but it's not. It's not selfish to choose peace. It's not selfish to say no. It's not selfish to want more. It's revolutionary. Because the most radical act in a world that teaches you to fit in is to finally be yourself. Carl Jung once said that true fulfillment doesn't come from the world around you. It comes from the world within you. And choosing yourself doesn't mean abandoning the people you love. It means no longer abandoning you. It means building a life where you don't have to apologize for existing. It means walking toward your truth, even if it means walking alone. Because the moment you choose yourself is the moment your healing begins. And once that begins, nothing will ever be the same again. Chapter 2. The world changes. When you choose yourself. When you finally choose yourself, really choose yourself, the entire world reacts. Some applaud, some walk away, some look at you like you've betrayed them, because suddenly you're not playing your old role anymore. You're not the yes man. You're not the emotional punching bag. You're not the quiet one who tolerates disrespect, swallows pain, and keep showing up like a soldier of sacrifice. You've stopped bleeding for people who never learned how to heal you, and that makes them uncomfortable. People will say you've changed. They'll call you selfish, distant, hard, arrogant. But that's not the truth. The truth, you're not becoming someone else. You're becoming you. The version of you that was always buried beneath the fear, beneath the pleasing, beneath the lie that said, if I make everyone happy, maybe someone will finally love me. But here's the raw reality. The moment you start saying no, the moment you stop over-explaining, the moment you start drawing boundaries, you become dangerous, not because you're cruel, but because you finally know your worth. You stop begging, you stop proving, you stop entertaining what drains you, and that shatters people's illusion of you. They thought you were permanent. They thought you'd always bend, always break, always come back. But not anymore. You weren't born to be a puppet. You weren't created to live small so others feel big. And if that makes some people leave, let them go. Because the ones who stay, they don't stay for what you do for them. They stay because they see you, raw, unfiltered, unmasked. And they still choose you. That's real love. That's real respect. That's the real beginning of your new life. Chapter 3. The power of inner freedom. For most of your life, you were told that love had to be earned, that respect had to be proved, that worth was measured by how many people clapped when you spoke, smiled when you stayed quiet, or approved of your existence. So you chased. You shaped yourself into what others wanted. You became the version that would be loved, liked, accepted, and in doing so, you lost the real you. But then something sacred happens. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop living for validation that never filled the void. And for the first time, you choose yourself. Not out of rebellion, not out of ego, but out of reverence. And that is when the shift happens. Suddenly you realize you don't owe anyone an explanation for your boundaries. You don't need permission to exist as you are. You don't fear rejection because you're no longer rejecting yourself. You say no without guilt. You walk away without panic. You breathe deeper, live slower, and speak your truth louder. And most importantly, you stop performing. You stop playing the part. You stop shrinking to fit into places you were never meant to be. You start living not for applause, not for attention, but for alignment. Carl Jung called this sacred process individuation, the journey of becoming the truest, most undiluted version of yourself. Not the version your parents dreamed of, not the version your culture demanded, not the version that ticked boxes and followed scripts, but the version your soul was born to be. And when that version rises, the world may not clap, but your spirit will. Because in that moment, you don't just find peace, you find freedom. Not the kind they sell in books or movies, but the kind that lives inside you. It's quiet, it's powerful, it's unshakable. You stop being a prisoner of opinions. You stop living in the shadows of other people's projections. You start breathing air that's finally yours. This is inner freedom, and once you taste it, you'll never go back. Chapter 4. The past no longer holds power over you. Every decision you made, every version of yourself you created, was rooted in one powerful emotion: fear. Fear of being alone, fear of being unloved, fear of being misunderstood, fear of not being enough. So you bent yourself backwards, not once, not twice, but daily, just to make others comfortable, just to belong, just to be seen. You carried their expectations like chains, smiling while you sank, giving while you were empty, and hoping, and just hoping, someone would finally say you're enough. But they didn't, and they never would, because the people you were trying to please, they were never watching you. They were watching their own reflection in your sacrifice. But when you finally choose yourself, something sacred happens. You cut the cord, not just from others, but from your past self, the one who tolerated too much, the one who over-explained her heart, the one who begged to be understood by people who never even tried to understand. That version of you, she begins to fade, and suddenly, you stop justifying your healing. You stop apologizing for your evolution. You stop explaining yourself to people who were never listening. You look back And for the first time ever, you don't feel shame. You feel gratitude, because every painful version of you built the strength you carry now. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart, not into someone else's approval, not into your past mistakes, not into your failures, but into your own heart, because that's where your truth lives. That's where freedom begins, when you stop searching for love in the eyes of others and start recognizing the love that was always within you. That's when the past finally lets go and you rise, not to prove, not to please, but to be." Chapter 5. The universe responds with synchronicity. Have you ever felt like the universe was suddenly speaking your language? Like the right people started showing up at the right time? Like doors you once knocked on endlessly just opened? No effort, no force, just flow. That's not magic. That's not coincidence. That's alignment. Because when you finally stop lying to yourself, when you shed the masks, when you stop betraying your soul just to fit into rooms that never respected your presence, the universe takes notice, and in its quiet, mysterious way, it begins to respond. Carl Jung called it synchronicity, a deep, unseen intelligence guiding your path through what appears to be random, but it's not random. It's deeply, painfully, beautifully intentional. It's the moment when you stop chasing what isn't meant for you and start becoming who you were always meant to be. And when that happens, life begins to mirror that shift. You'll meet people who don't feel like strangers. They feel like reminders. You'll walk into situations that feel strangely familiar, as if your soul had already been there. You'll hear a sentence in a podcast, a lyric in a song, a quote in a book, and it hits you so deeply, it's like the universe is whispering, "You're on the right path." But here's what most people won't tell you. Synchronicity doesn't come without resistance. When you align with your higher self, the older version of you, the one built on fear, survival, and people-pleasing, will fight back. It will whisper lies. You're being selfish. You're making a mistake. You're going to end up alone. Your doubts will rise like smoke from a burning past. Old triggers will come alive. Toxic people will reappear, wearing new faces but carrying the same weight. And the path ahead, it won't always look easy. But that's the test, because alignment is not about comfort, it's about truth. And truth often comes wrapped in discomfort. It requires you to say no without explanation, to walk away without closure, to trust your inner compass when everyone else questions your direction. You'll feel like you're walking blindfolded at times, but deep inside something will guide you, a stillness, a knowing. And then the universe, it will begin to reward your courage. You'll start recognizing the difference between people who drain you and people who fuel you, between places that shrink you and places that help you expand, between decisions made out of fear and those made from freedom. These aren't accidents, they're signs, markers, proof that you're no longer walking in circles. You're moving forward, in flow with the deepest part of who you are. And that's when the real magic begins. When you're no longer chasing life, life starts to meet you halfway. So if things are starting to shift, if you're seeing strange signs, unexpected blessings, familiar faces from past dreams, don't panic. You're not crazy. You're not lost. You're not late. You're aligned. And alignment always attracts exactly what your soul needs. Not what your ego wants, but what your spirit is ready for. Chapter 6. You will learn to be alone and love every moment. When you first choose yourself, it feels like loss. Loss of friends, loss of connection, loss of familiarity, even loss of identity. Because when you begin to walk away from the life you built for them, the life designed around approval, expectations, and performance, you find yourself standing alone in the silence. And that silence, at first it feels unbearable. No more texts, no more fake smiles, no more distractions to drown your thoughts. It's just you and you. And that's terrifying, because for years you were taught that being alone means being unwanted, that solitude is a punishment, that if no one is around, you must not matter. But that's a lie. Because that silence you feared so much, that silence becomes your sanctuary. It's not emptiness, it's space. Space to breathe, space to detox from the noise, space to hear the voice that's been buried under years of people-pleasing, guilt, and self-abandonment. And slowly, almost unnoticeably at first, something begins to shift. You begin to fall in love. Not with another person, not with validation, but with your own presence. You take walks without checking your phone. You sit in your room and feel peace instead of panic. You begin to look in the mirror and smile because you're finally meeting someone real. You, the real you, the one who no longer needs likes, attention, or constant noise to feel alive. The one who's okay eating alone, healing alone, growing alone. Because now you know your worth, and when you know your worth, you stop accepting crumbs. You stop shrinking into conversations just to be liked. You stop chasing people who ghost your soul. You stop confusing attention with affection. You become whole. And here's the wild truth no one talks about. You're not lonely. You're free. You don't need to be completed. You are the completion. Carl Jung said it best. Loneliness does not come from being alone, but from being unable to communicate the things that seem important. And now, you don't just communicate them, you live them. You embody your truth. You protect your peace. You create space only for those who speak your language. Not just with words, but with energy, honesty, and presence. Being alone no longer feels like punishment. It feels like power. Because when you learn to love your own company, you become the one person you can never lose. No matter who stays, no matter who leaves, you remain rooted, real, radiant. And that is a kind of love this world cannot take from you. Chapter 7. The choice that changes everything. From the moment we're born, the world begins teaching us its rules. Rules about success, rules about happiness, rules about what you should be, how you should act, and who you should become. We grow up hearing, be successful but not too successful that you make others feel bad. Be popular but not so popular that you outshine others. Be agreeable but don't lose yourself in the process. Be liked, be loved, be accepted, as long as you don't make too many waves. And for the most part, we follow those rules, we play the game, we perform. We make our lives about pleasing others. Our parents, our teachers, our friends, society, social media followers. We bend, we break, we sacrifice our own happiness and growth just to be accepted. We shape ourselves into the person everyone expects, not the person we were meant to be. But here's the catch. As much as we try to fit in, as much as we chase those external validations, we begin to lose something far more important. We lose ourselves. Deep inside, you start to feel it. A quiet ache, a gnawing emptiness, a sense that no matter how much you give, it's never enough. Not because the world is ungrateful, but because you've forgotten the most important thing, you. You become so busy playing a role, wearing masks, and pretending to be who everyone else expects you to be, that you forget what it feels like to be truly alive. You forget who you are. You forget the dreams that once fueled your soul. You forget what you really want, deep inside. You forget how it feels to be unapologetically you. And that's when the universe, life itself, throws down the gauntlet. You come to a point where the pain of staying the same becomes greater than the fear of change. You arrive at a crossroad. You hit a wall, a breaking point. And then, in the quietest, most powerful moment of your life, you make a choice. A choice so simple, yet so profound, that it changes everything. The choice is not a grand declaration. It's not a dramatic, earth-shattering event. It's just a whisper to yourself, a quiet truth. I choose me. This decision, though it sounds simple, is the catalyst for everything that follows. It shatters the illusions. It burns away the false masks you've been wearing. It exposes the parts of your life that were never truly yours. It strips away the expectations, the pressure, the chains, and the limits that others have placed on you. And in that moment, when you make the decision to choose yourself, something powerful begins to happen. You begin to walk a path that is uniquely yours, a path that no one can walk for you, a path that no one can define except you. But here's the reality. This decision will not be easy. Choosing yourself will strip you of things you thought you couldn't live without. It will isolate you at times. It will cause people to question you. It will make them uncomfortable. It will make them wonder if you've changed. And they'll say things that sound like, why aren't you the same anymore? Why don't you care about what we think? Why don't you just follow the crowd? Why can't you just fit in? But deep down, you'll know. This is not about fitting in. This is about belonging to yourself. This is about no longer compromising your peace, your dreams, your truth for anyone or anything. The moment you choose yourself, it's as if a door to an entirely new world opens. You begin to see the truth about your life, your relationships, and your desires. You stop seeking validation from the outside world because you start looking within. And when you look inside, you find something that's always been there. Your inner strength, your confidence, your truth, your real self. And it's in that moment of choosing yourself you realize how much you've been holding back. You realize how much you've sacrificed for the sake of others. You see how much you've lost in the pursuit of fitting in. And then comes the hardest question of all. Would you rather continue living a life that isn't yours, or would you rather choose the freedom of being unapologetically you? The pain of staying stuck, of being trapped in a life that isn't aligned with your truth, is far worse than the pain of change. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's hard. But the alternative is far worse. Living a life where you're pretending just to make others happy is a life that will eat you alive from the inside out. This journey is yours and yours alone. No one can walk it for you. No one can make the choices you need to make. No one can say, I choose me, for you. That decision, that sacred moment, belongs to you and you alone. So, choose yourself, even when it feels lonely, even when it's scary, even when people question you. Because in the end, the pain of change is nothing compared to the pain of remaining the same. This is your moment, not tomorrow, not next week, not when things are better, or you're ready, or they finally understand you. Right now. Because life doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It doesn't knock twice. It whispers once. And the rest is on you. This is your time to stop shrinking so others can feel tall, to stop apologizing for your voice, your truth, your power, to stop dimming your light just to keep other people comfortable in their shadows. No more pretending, no more pleasing, no more performing, no more. Carl Jung, the man whose wisdom stitched this journey together, once said that real transformation doesn't begin with external change. It begins within. It begins when you finally gather the courage to sit with your shadows, not run from them, not hide them, but to embrace them. Because your scars are not your shame. They are your story. They are your strength. They are the proof that you've survived things others wouldn't even understand. You don't need permission to live your truth. You don't need approval to walk your path. You don't need a crowd to validate your decision. What you need is one breath of courage, to say to yourself, I'm done betraying me. I'm done living for everyone else. I choose me. And when you say that, really say it, not just with your lips, but with your life, the world around you will shift, because there's nothing more powerful than a person who stops waiting for the world to save them and starts becoming the hero of their own story. And if this message sparked something inside you, a tear, a truth, a fire you almost forgot was there, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Because someone out there is still stuck, still lost, still silencing their truth just to feel accepted, still giving their entire life to be enough for people who never even deserved them. Be their mirror, be their light. Your story might just become someone else's survival guide. Your words might just become the push someone needed to finally choose themselves. Don't underestimate your impact. So here's what I want you to do right now. 1, comment below, tell us, what does choosing yourself mean to you? Your words could reach someone who's one decision away from freedom. 2, hit that like button, not for vanity, but to tell the algorithm that these kinds of truths matter. 3, share this video with someone you love, someone who's tired, someone who's lost, someone who needs to hear. They are not alone. 4, and if you haven't yet, subscribe. Because this isn't just a channel, it's a movement of real people telling real stories, living real lives. We're building a space where truth is louder than trends, where healing is louder than pretending, where choosing yourself is not selfish, it's sacred. So the next time you feel afraid, remember this. Life doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It doesn't begin when others approve. It doesn't begin when the pain is gone. Life begins the moment you finally decide to be you. And that moment is now.